program is paid for by Investors Schooling. All opinions or statements expressed on the program are solely those of Investors Schooling or their guests and do not reflect the opinions of WPHT or Odyssey.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. This is Investors Schooling Live with your host, Larry Steinhaus, CEO of Investors Schooling.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so happy that it's afternoon and not morning. Actually, I like the morning show. It's kind of fun. But I want to welcome you all to Investor Schooling Live. Investor Schooling Live is transmitting from the Investor Schooling Studios right here in the Investor Schooling headquarters. I am Larry Steinhaus, and I am the CEO of Investor Schooling. I want to thank you all for listening and get ready to learn real estate investing, stock options trading, and so many more things about money that I bet you didn't even know. Hey, you can call us anytime during the show with your questions. 855-939-1137. Plug it in your phone now because I'll bet you're going to want to call. So type in 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137. That's right. We're a live program, so you can call us anytime during the show, and we'll take your calls. Hey, look, don't worry about what we're talking about. We'll take your calls about anything that has to do with money, finances, or even politics. Yep. We're also live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And, of course, if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, please say hi, and that way I'll know you're online. It's really the only way I know you're watching. At Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing, stock options trading, how to save money and taxes, how to be financially free, and we even give you the motivation to make money work for you instead of you working for money. Investor Schooling is located in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, right off the Newtown Bypass, serving the New Jersey and greater Philadelphia areas in a brick-and-mortar building. Our students are also located in several states with our exclusive web access to our classes and seminars. Get ready to learn something new, get ready to learn real estate, get ready to learn entrepreneurship and the stock market, and you'll get ready to learn there from your friendly neighborhood financial expert. Hey, that's me, Larry Steinhaus. All right, I'm here with Dr. Deb again.
Hey, everybody, how you doing?
And we have a really cool guest. You want to know? You want to know who the guest is, Deb?
Who's the guest today?
I'm not going to tell you. You have to guess. You have to guess who the guest is.
I have to guess who the guest is.
So
well, we've been chatting a little bit, so I think I have kind of an idea who the guest is.
I've been promising everybody that I was going to bring in a property manager who can talk intelligently about property management. And although there's very few out there, I found one.
I think it's great because I was saying earlier that I used to have a property manager and I had to let them go because they were absolutely terrible. So I am excited to hear about one who is actually good.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to bring in Audrey Ellen Brodie.
Hi, Larry. How are we doing today?
I don't know. You tell me. You know, you've been sitting there for a while watching me create all this cool magic, right?
Yeah, I got to go now. I've got some properties to manage.
All right. That's a good property manager. She can't talk to us.
There you go. She's too busy. She's too busy for us today.
So I did want to say hello. Joe Menino's online. Hey, Joe. Thanks so much for watching. I totally appreciate you. If anybody else wants to say hi online, please do that. All right. So I got to ask you. So, Audrey, I brought you in because Deb and I, we talk about properties all the time. We talk about property management. We talk about the fun stories we have about some of our tenants. And I would bet that you have some pretty interesting stories.
Fascinating at best. Yes, after this, blessed to say that this is our 20th year in business. And so for the last 20 years, I've amassed quite a portfolio of situations, be it with homeowners, but especially with tenants.
I'll bet, especially with tenants. And, you know, so once again, just so you guys know, I got to Audrey because I had bought a property and she came with the property. Now, you know, every once in a while, and I tell the story of my Easton properties, where I bought properties in Easton, and when I bought my first property in Easton, I don't know, 13 years ago, actually it wasn't my first, but my first property in many years, I bought in Easton, and it came with a property manager, and the property manager was so good that I ended up buying a whole bunch of properties in Lehigh Valley because he manages them all, and I actually bought the properties just so we can manage them, which is great. So now I bought a couple of properties. You're now the manager. We had several conversations before, and you were awesome. You were just like, you were quick as a whip. I was impressed.
Well, thank you. And I know impressing you is something I've always wanted to do my whole life, and I feel good about that. But in addition to that,
you have a wise ass.
It's great. I think it's great.
In addition to that, my new credential, I really have tried to specialize in property management and doing things right, always following the law. I'm also a licensed realtor, so I can help my investors grow their portfolios the right way. At the same time, we can manage them afterwards.
All right, so first of all, why don't you tell everybody the company that you own?
The company is First Class Properties.
Okay, so real quick, so if they did a Google search on you, First Class Properties, they can find you, because if anybody wants to, after this conversation, if they want to find a property manager, it would be great to be able to talk to you. Right?
Absolutely. And if
Yeah.
you Google property management in Delaware, I'm also going to come up pretty quick. You can Google my name, and I'm Google proof. I mean, there's been issues over the years, but so far I'm still out there. So I'm
that's
really
okay.
proud of our reputation. It takes a lot to keep everybody in balance, both tenants and homeowners.
So do you just do property management in Delaware, or do you do other places too?
I'm just licensed in Delaware,
Just in
so I'm
Delaware.
sticking with that. Yeah, and believe me, it's enough of a challenge. Currently, we're down to just 340 homes that we manage,
That's
single
terrible.
family.
How could you only do 340
I
homes?
know, it's like you're really slacking over there.
We were over 500 until all these investors knew they were going to make so much money in this recent market, and I can't fault them for that. So
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's exciting right now because with the market normalizing, now it's going to be investors getting back into spending their money on real estate because you're not going to have to pay those exorbitant prices, and it'll be a good time to start reinvesting your long-term wealth into real
So
estate.
do you want to know the answer to the question, when is a good time to invest in real estate? Actually, do you think you can answer that question?
Well, I think you've already told me, Larry, you feel anytime.
It's always now.
always
It's
now.
always now. It just depends on the deal. So it's always now. So you're just, that's funny, I have to correct realtors all the time.
I stand not corrected. I mean,
All right. So by the way, real quick, if anybody wants to call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. It's a good time to ask any property management questions you've ever had on property managers, maybe a story you have, maybe a story about a tenant that you have, which would be kind of fun. So 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. One more time, 855-939-1137. So Audrey, so why don't you tell us a story about one crazy tenant and see if you can wow us.
well, I will tell you, ironically, one of the most impressive walkthroughs I had to do was happen to be with you, Larry. And unbelievable. I mean,
I'm not even sure.
I felt
I'm not even
jinxed.
surprised.
I
I'm
know.
not
It's
even
like, how did
surprised.
this happen? When it occurred, it's like, this can't be real. We walked into one of the properties he purchased. I had not been through it myself because it was part of a newly acquisition portfolio of properties that I had, that I was managing. And we walked through and we looked into this one very cute young lady's bedroom. And
Oh,
here
that
there-
was hysterical.
here
I know
there-
what you're talking about. Yeah.
here there is this support from the ceiling to the floor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he just bought this property and the ceiling's falling. Then Larry realizes
Well, I
she's a
actually-
pole dancer,
Oh my God.
and she uses it to practice at home.
Oh, good for her. Hey,
Well,
at least she's getting up on her skills, right?
Doesn't
So-
our best friend Larry jump on it and go, oh, don't worry, I practice at home on my pole too. So we go to leave, and the girl is really embarrassed, and I didn't know what to do myself. It's like, oh, don't worry, we just wanted to see the house, whatever. And Larry goes to her, oh, be careful with that, though. I know I broke mine one time when I was swinging down, and it's like, and off we went. So that was one of the crazier times. I will tell you, it's hard to find funny these days, though, because the biggest challenge with our society being so litigious and entitled, tenants are more and more difficult to manage as far as how they're treating not just the property, but their expectations. And a lot of people think they should get homes that they really aren't qualified for. And with all the protection that's out there legally through fair housing and other, giveaway organizations, I warn people to be very cautious when you are working with a tenant in what you're saying and how you're documenting it, because they all know who to call. And what happens with those agencies is they don't just listen to what the client says is their complaint, but they start building things in, knowing what is the law. So they're saying, oh, well, you're actually should be complaining about this, and you actually should this.
Okay.
And we're blessed. I mean, I've had over 3,000 tenants, and only probably maybe 6 or 8 that ended up being a little dramatic. that's what I'm learning most recently. And I really do caution people to don't think your tenant is ever your friend, and be very cautious in how casual you get with people.
We talk about that a lot, actually, at the school. We always say that this is a business. Like, this is a business. I mean, you can be friendly with your tenant. You know, I always say to them, you know, I'll be good to you if you're good to me. If you're nasty to me, I'll be nasty right back. You know, and I started off that way. That conversation happens before they're even a tenant. So, and then a lot of it is, you know, what's your reaction? You know, a lot of it is starting to read people. And you know, you had asked before, is how do I check credit? I don't necessarily check credit, but I start asking. Learn here at the school that Larry taught us about, and just seeing their reactions and seeing their faces and seeing what they do and what it is. Stan says in like reading some of that body language, and you can really tell a lot about a person that way, and you realize whether or not they'd be a good tenant for you or not. So it makes a really big difference. I've been using that for the last couple of years, and I have to tell you that it's really helped me a lot to kind of screen my tenants, and you know, can they follow directions, can they do what they're told, but you're not friends with these people. But I mean, you're just not friends with them, but you're friendly with them. But I also have some tenants who are like, I love my landlord, I'll never leave, thank you so much for doing this for me. And I'm like, because whenever they call, so I mentioned before that I had a property manager in Philly, and she didn't tell me about things that were going on for 6 months or 7 months, and it was actually the neighbor downstairs that I was friendly with when I was rehabbing the place who because the tenant thought that I was just being greedy and not paying for anything, and I just didn't know about anything. So she called me up and she's like, hey Deb, you know that this is going on? And I'm like, what are you even talking about? I had no idea. So I went to see the place, and there was just a lot of different things that the rehabber didn't do correctly, but I didn't know about it. And the management company didn't mention any of it to me, and they were addressing it, but they never addressed it. So
well, what I've found typically over the years is I was one of the first in the Kent County, Delaware area to really have a larger portfolio. I started out before I was a realtor and before I had the management company. My husband and I purchased 32 single-family homes in that market, and we were managing them ourselves. So I already made every stupid mistake you could make, so that by the time I was managing someone else's property, I was doing it with much more knowledge and protecting their investment almost better than I had my own. But a lot of realtors saw that, making a few $100s a month, that's really great. I'm going to be a property manager. Well, that's where the problem lies, because you have to be on call, you have to be accessible, and if you don't have enough staff to make sure that you're going to be accessible, then that's where things are going to fall short. We also, and when you're shopping, I would say to our audience that when you're shopping for a property manager, you want to find somebody that is adequately staffed, that does have a way for people to get emergency repairs handled through you quickly, not by calling an independent. We don't let our tenants call and make any appointments for any repairs, because they can reach us every day, 7 days a week. They know how to reach us, and I'm not invisible as the owner of the company either, so that when all else fails, you've got to be able to access somebody, because if there's fire, if there's water flowing, if there's no heat in very cold, or no cooling in hot, you need to be able to get to somebody fast.
So do you think that there's a tipping point? Like, so I know, you know, some people will wait till they have 20 properties before they use a property manager, and then that'll tip the scale to say, okay, now I need somebody to just handle this for me. Or do you feel that, like, from property one, they should have a property manager? I mean, I understand that this is your business and it's your business. I understand that, but you said you had what, 32 homes, you know, earlier, and you were managing them, of course, I'm assuming by yourself earlier. So do you feel that there's a tipping point, like when you hit X amount of properties, you should start using a property manager, or what are your thoughts on that?
My portfolio initially started with not investors, as they really were people that were in their single-family homes that were stuck in their houses when the real estate market went so soft back in 2006, 7, and 8. So especially, we're 1/4 mile outside. Our main headquarters is 1/4 mile outside the north gate of Dover Air Force Base. And any of those kids that had bought a home in the last few years couldn't sell it when they got transferred. So they were literally, in 1 year, my portfolio went from 60 homes to 120 because these kids were stuck in their homes. So they had
When you
one
say
house.
kids,
Military kids.
Okay, military
Yeah,
kids.
younger people.
Okay.
And so when you say how many homes, I say one, because you never know what you're going to run into. What we find often is a lot of people try to manage their one home themselves, and as soon as they have to go to court, or we'll get a call saying, they haven't paid me in 8 months. It's like, well, where have you been? And then we do jump in, we go to court, and we don't charge. We only charge our owners if we're making money. So if your home's vacant, we're making no money. We're still managing it, we're trying to fix it up, or we're trying to find a tenant, but you make no money, we make no money.
I think you should come to Pennsylvania.
Hold on, guys. You guys are doing an awesome job, and thank you. I just want to say to a couple people online, yes, there's a buzz online, and I can't fix it. I tried, so my apologies. I'll try to fix it during the commercial, so just hang in there. We came in this morning, and everything was down. We must have had a power failure recently, and everything was down, and I just didn't catch that one, so my apologies for you guys online. But you guys on the radio, or if you're online and you're local, just go to 1210 a.m. and you can listen to the show right there. You can also see us, of course, live. And if you're listening and you want to call in with any questions, I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you own properties and you want to ask a question of a property manager, we have one here right now. 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. That's 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. Okay, so it was funny because before we started, and I hope while I was futzing around, you guys didn't cover it, but we said, how do you screen your tenants was a question that you asked us, right?
I did.
And so I screen my tenants very differently than you screen your tenants. I know that, but you have to screen them a certain way. So why don't we talk about how you screen your tenants first, and then I'm going to tell people how I screen my tenants.
Well, I can appreciate and respect how an independent owner can do some screening that we can't do because we are a company and we are under a little bit more scrutiny. And everybody, of course, thinks we're the big monster making $1 million. So they all are almost looking for us to make a mistake so they can compensate on it. But the way we screen tenants is, first of all, of course, the basic credit score. But we also do a debt-to-income ratio, which I'm not so sure everybody bothers with that. So it's just like when you're purchasing a home, they check how much do you owe, how much do you make, and how much extra do you have. Mm-hmm. We do a debt-to-income ratio. We also have a database that ensures that we check the credit, of course, and then we also check if they have a national eviction record. So if they've been to court once, if they've been to court through the court because of non-payment of rent, we will not rent to them uniformly.
So that's it. So interestingly enough, so when I hired you as a property manager, I had properties with tenants in them and they haven't changed yet. So I really don't know how your process is. I know that my other property manager in the High Valley, when he calls me, he'll say, we have 3 applications. One, their credit is 420. One, their credit is 550, and one, their credit is 620. But he tells me about the applications of the 420. He said, the 420, he goes, and they've been evicted twice. He still tells me and still gives me the option. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to take that tenant, but I'm just curious. You said you uniformly don't take them. Now, you've told that to your landlords, or
we do not. We don't function that same way in sharing the information. Actually, under Privacy Act rules, he shouldn't be doing that. Because he shouldn't be doing that. And that's okay. Like I said, everybody, we're big and we're under a lot of scrutiny. So everything we do, I tell you, will hold up in a court of law for sure. The other way that we also screen is we do a national, and I say national because so many of the databases are individual states. So you want to make sure that if you're using a screening system, that it is national for evictions. And we do a national criminal record check on anyone 18 and older living in the home, whether they're on the lease or not. And the reason we're doing that is because people harbor criminals. We had a great example is parents that we had their 19-year-old living with them. And sure enough, the 19-year-old wasn't on the lease, but he did have a record. And this is the part, Larry, where we do consult with the homeowner. If we have a specialized situation where they may want to make an exception, we do call. And we said it's the parents, the kid, has been on drug possession. They said that he's been clean and they've been monitoring him. How do you feel? about it. The credit score was 750,
Right.
you know, all that good guy stuff. And so in that case, the homeowner said, you know what, we'll go with it. Now, just from my perspective, that is a big CYA for me because
Yeah,
I am
sure,
not going to
sure.
take that shot.
Sure.
So we commiserate and just kind of take risk in that regard sometimes.
So I feel like I don't even do anything anymore now. You know, I just listen to this. And
I know,
this
right?
is so powerful that I'm like, maybe I should be doing some other thing.
Well, I definitely look at the Pennsylvania like e-docket to see if there's been any evictions. But what national database do you use, or is that something you're allowed to say?
Actually, we use a software that's called Appfolio, and Appfolio within their system
Okay,
does afford us that credit checking process. So we do it through their system,
Okay.
and they're linked to all the right agencies. And I like the software because it also gives our tenants instant access to us by email and text,
Okay.
as well as our homeowners can download anytime they want a full P&L, and any of their all of their accounting is hung on their owner's portal. So they really don't have to do any bookkeeping themselves.
So can tenants actually make payments through Appfolio? too?
They absolutely can.
Okay.
And we try for direct deposit as much as possible, and we allow it until something bounces, and then we have to make another arrangement. But
Okay.
yeah, direct deposit is best for the universe, and then our homeowners get their money direct deposited every month by the 10th of the month.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Although, sometimes it's later. I guess it depends on when they pay. Is that how it works?
Depends on who you are, Larry. No, I'm teasing.
They just don't want to pay you. That's all.
Oh.
They're like, Larry doesn't need the money. He can wait another
Yeah,
month.
it's like, yeah, it's exactly right. It's like Larry doesn't need the money. Why do we send it to him? You know, I'm not
It
even-
does depend on when we get the money, and I know in one of your cases you do have a Section 8 home.
Yeah,
So
right.
it depends on when we get the money. We wait till the money clears. We give it 3 days to clear, and then it hits your account.
Fair enough. That's right. Okay. Great. This is excellent. I'm even learning stuff. Although, now I'm just learning that. The Appfolio thing, it's funny. We've had this discussion before, and we've never actually gone onto it. We probably should look at it.
We probably should, because I know that some of the people use Rent Spree. So
Yeah. I
Rent
use.
Spree.
What am I using? Am I using Rent Spree? I think I'm using Rent Spree.
I use Rent Spree for one of my tenants, and I was trying to get a couple other ones onto it, but it's I don't know, it's like a crapshoot. So I mean, I always get paid, which is because if it's not, I do the whole 1st, the 5th, and the 15th. So you should talk to her about that. I think that's
Oh,
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some magic. When I bring in a tenant, I have a conversation with them up front. Even when they fill out the application. And here's the conversation. It goes like this: Audrey, rent's due on the 1st. On the 2nd, it's late. On the 5th, it's a $150 late fee, and on the 15th, I file for eviction. Now, if you're in the hospital, your grandmother died, you got the flu, please call me. I'm going to send you flowers. But on the 15th, I'm filing for eviction. Do we understand each other? And that, I tell you, that alone, I have people. I've had to go to court for myself. I've had in 42 years, I've gone to court twice. Now, the funny thing is, I would imagine Lehigh Valley has gone to court 5 or 6 or 7 times because of people who didn't pay their rent. I've had 2 or 3 evictions with them. I've never had an eviction. And it's funny because not only do I say it at application time, but when I hand them the keys and take their final payment, I say it again. Rent's due on the 1st. On the 2nd, it's late. On the 3rd and the 5th, it's a $150 late fee. And on the 15th, I file for eviction. And as soon as I say that, it usually happens all the time. They go, yeah, we know. We will never be late. We will never be late. And it's funny, they never are late. Although sometimes they test me. I go through a story about that. But sometimes they test me. But most of the time, they know. And I'm serious when I make a statement like that.
I think that's tremendous that you're able to do that. And of course, every state has different laws. In Delaware, it's not considered late until the 6th by law.
Okay.
So they have a grace period automatically through the Delaware Landlord Tenant Code that says, oh, okay, they said the 1st, but you have till the 5th, and it doesn't count as late. And the late fee is capped at 5%. There's not
That's
a
fine.
blanket.
But I can say that. I can say whatever I want. I don't have to necessarily. It doesn't have to be. So I could say it's late on the 2nd. I didn't say there was a late fee on the 2nd. There's no late fee until the 6th. So
Right.
I could change it to the 6th. And then I also give them the benefit of the doubt if they're mailing the check. The postmark on the check is what I go by. Just
So
to give them the benefit of the doubt.
so
But
that's-
nobody mails checks anymore anyway.
Now, the post office, too, is a
It's
little
terrible, yeah.
traumatic.
Yeah.
so I want to interject here because I have one tenant, and same rules apply. And she sent me the check. It was sent. It was dated on the 2nd, and I had to reach out to her. And I said, this is late. Look at your lease, and you owe me a late fee. And she's like, well, when's it due? I said, it's due on the 1st. It's late on the 2nd. Late fee on the 5th. Oh, okay. And then now she sends it like a week early. So but she does send a check every month. But she sends a check. But now she realizes it has to be dated or postmarked before on the 1st or earlier. So that is nice.
So I'll tell you, I'm going to go to a commercial break. I try to fix the buzz on Facebook because everybody's complaining about it, and it's actually really embarrassing. and Audrey's got this whole thing going on her Facebook page, and now nobody wants to watch it. Isn't that terrible? You came here, but we'll give you...
I have faith you're going to fix it.
Well, I can fix it, but I can give you a recording of the show. I can't give you the video of the show because the video will have the buzzing. But I'll give you a recording of it anyway. So, all right, so let's go to a commercial real quick, then, and we'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes, and hopefully I'll get it fixed. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you afraid of the Great Reset?
You're clear.
Apply to those. At Investor Schooling, we teach you how to own real estate. Six 3002. Go to Investors.
Glenn's asking if you're ready.
Yeah, give me a minute, Glenn.
Oh, all right. I guess I'm on your time.
So I can't hear him.
He's putting his headphones on now, Glenn.
All right. All right. I'm ready when you are.
You ready? All right.
Sure.
We got about 15 seconds.
Okay. Like how to buy discounted properties with absolutely no money out of your pocket. Can it be done? Yes, it can. Can you learn how to do it? Yes, you can. Go to
It's Larry's world. We all just live in it.
And we're grateful.
All right, welcome back to Investor Schooling Live. If you guys are on Facebook, my apologies. I got the buzz down a little bit. I still can't get it completely down. It's got to be something I have to work on. I don't know what to do. But if you guys are listening on the radio, or if you're listening on Facebook and you want to go to radio, you can do that. Go to 855-939-1137, and you can give us a call, 855-939-1137. Of course, we're on 1210 a.m., and we're having some fun here. WPHT, 855-939-1137 if you want to call in, 855-939-1137, and we're going to continue our conversation with Audrey Ellen Brodie, who is the coolest property manager I've ever met. Sorry, Jason. I know you're listening. And if you're listening, I've asked you to come on the radio several times, but you didn't want to come on. But
Wow.
Audrey drove here from Delaware.
I'm coming every week now.
Yeah, she drove here from Delaware, and you didn't drive from Lehigh Valley, so we got Audrey on to talk about it. All right, cool. So where were we? What were we talking about before I tried to fix this mess?
We were talking about Appfolio. We were talking about the criminal background. We were talking about the docket to check if anybody had an eviction. We were talking about how you had more evictions with your property manager than not using the property manager, and we were talking about the first, the second, the fifth, and the 15th.
Yeah, because every state does have different rules, so you just have to make sure you know what the rules are in your specific state so that you stay on the course.
So a lot of times, people have a two-step late fee, which I find fascinating. Have you ever done a two-step late fee?
I've never heard of one, so train me.
Oh, so this is kind of interesting. Where like maybe it's $100 late fee on the 6th, and on the 16th it's another $100, so it's $200 late fee. Now here's what the ruling is. The ruling has come down that you can't do that, but you can do it.
The ruling from who?
Well, from some courts.
The property management god.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, being the liberal judge, you know.
Yeah.
That's who the property management god is, the liberal judge. So interestingly enough, I have a lot of people that I know doing that. They're doing the two-step, late fee. Now, the other interesting part is I've noticed this. I've noticed that people go to court, like Jason will take them to court for my properties in Lehigh Valley, and the judge will say, yeah, they owe 3 months. They're willing to pay the 3 months. They can stay, and the late fees are waived. And the judge just waives the late fees. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. How can you change my contract? You're just a judge, and the judge is either you collect the money or you evict them or you put a judgment against them. And we've seen this happen several times, which is odd. Has that ever happened? Have you ever seen that happen?
And we're in court much more than your experience is.
Sure.
And absolutely never. They either will give us the judgment or they may suggest maybe you want to adjourn and discuss a payment plan or some level of negotiation. And so we'll leave the courtroom and go outside and talk with the tenant. They'll put together some kind of payment plan, but never historically, I shouldn't say never, historically it's definitely not waiving the late fees every time or some standard like that, but it's on occasion the homeowner will want to negotiate just to get some money versus no money.
Yeah, I mean, I could see waiving it like once, but I'm not so sure about waiving 3 months worth of late fees.
Well, the judge did it.
No,
yeah,
I know,
no
but
judges in
Yeah.
Delaware
Yeah.
have ever in 20 years told us what to charge. They go by exactly what our 10-day letter says as far as what they owe and how they got to court and what the court paperwork says they owe. And all they do is read what we've provided and they make their judgment yes or no, but never waiving anything.
So, by the way, if anybody out there ever goes to court and they want to take their tenant to court, if they have a property manager or don't have a property manager, what you just said is key. And what that is negotiate with the tenant. I usually just grab the tenant before, when I've done it, I grab the tenant before the hearing and I say, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about what you can do. And whatever arrangement they say they're going to make, if it's reasonable, let's say they owe $3,000, I'll give you $1,500 this week and I'll give you $1,500 next week. I agree to it. You know why I agree to it? Because that's bound. Then they go in front of the judge and say, Your Honor, we've come up with this agreement, $1,500 now, $1,500 a week from now, and now I don't have to go back to court if they don't pay the second $1,500. That's actually better for me than having the judge, than having to go in front of the judge and having the judge decide whether we should throw them out or not.
Yeah, well, as far as throwing them out or not, historically I find that, non-payment is the only thing that throws them out. And a lot of our tenants don't show up. And the other regrettable thing we're having now is since COVID, the only court that we have found in Delaware that is actually in person is the city of Wilmington. Everything else is a Zoom call.
They're still doing Zoom calls.
Still Zooming.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it's a little debilitating
Yeah, of
because, it's actually a lot debilitating. So another warning to anybody managing their own property is make sure your paperwork is pristine and simple. When you go to do your letter, the initial letter telling them what they owe and that they've got, ours is called the 10-day letter where you've got 10 days to pay us or you have to leave. And that is the letter we have to do before we can do the court paperwork. So if they don't leave and they don't pay us in the 10 days, then we can file for court. So literally, they have 15 days in Delaware. So we file immediately, and if our paperwork on that 10-day letter has one number wrong or it's not clear enough, the judge will throw it out,
Wow.
tell you what to do, and then you have to come back in 6 weeks, which allows your tenant to stay another 6 weeks, paying nothing if that's how they roll.
So here's an interesting thing. In Pennsylvania, we had the 10-day letter, and all you had to do was post it or mail it, either certified or post it on the door. So it somehow, and I don't know how the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors did this, but they actually did some good finally. They actually were able to say that if it's in your lease that the person signs that they waive the 10-day letter, you don't need it. So what's really neat is the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors lease says that they waive it unless otherwise stated. So it's automatically waived if it's a Pennsylvania Association of letters.
My property managers are officially relocating to Pennsylvania because if I told them that, they would all beat it because they're writing 20 letters on the 6th of the month. All they're doing is 10 days. I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's
I was
odd.
thinking, too, when you talk about legislation, when you said about that second interest or late fee.
Yeah.
The second late fee is quite the concept, and my ears perked up, and I'm thinking, with my visibility in the state, I would start doing that, and I guarantee you, House Bill number 1 next legislative season will be, there will never be the opportunity for a second late fee.
So you could try it. You never know. But
I think
I don't think
visibility is good,
necessary
right?
for you. Yeah, I also don't think it's necessary for you. You know, it's great. It's a scare tactic. You know, so you're trying to keep the person, you try to let the person know, hey, look, you keep going, it's going to be a second late fee. I mean, you also know, like, when I say I'm going to file for eviction on the 15th, I'm not actually filing for eviction, am I?
Yeah.
I'm filing for a non-payment of rent, and then and if they don't pay the rent within the time of that court case that the judge says you have to pay the rent, then I have to file for eviction. So it's actually a two-step process. I'm assuming it's the same in Delaware.
It's when you go to court and they agree to how much they owe, and if they don't pay within usually 10 days of the court date, then you do have to file again for the final eviction. And then once you get the eviction, you have to wait for the constable to put them on their schedule in order to perform the lockout.
Right, and then
which is another fun activity if anyone's bored.
Oh, I've done that before too. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, with the I've actually watched it happen, and you know it's funny because I don't know why people don't get it. The door's posted for 3 days. We are coming on Monday to throw you out of your house. I mean, it doesn't say that exactly, but why is it that when I show up, the guy knocks on the door, the woman says, "Yes, can I help you? I'm the constable. I'm here to evict you." Oh, you are? Okay. I didn't know you were coming. See this door? See, didn't you come in and out of your house for the last couple of days? Well, yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know what that meant. I mean, it's really, this is the kind of people you're dealing with. It's bizarre.
Well, I think the biggest problem is it takes so darn long to get anybody out, and they get so darn many letters. Maybe they are confused that they don't.
Maybe.
They just think it's just one more letter.
Maybe. I mean, but it's posted on the door,
It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's posted on the door.
Yeah.
I don't see how they can miss it.
And truly, I've never met anybody who wishes someone homeless.
Oh, of course.
You know, and so that's the underlying theme here. You know, even take care of those people to make sure they're out in time and go where you have to go.
Yeah, and I want to work. I want to work as hard as I can to have the tenant to rehabilitate the tenant is what I really want to do. But there are times you just can't, and there's also times that the tenant is so, their attitude is so nasty. It's like, you know what? I don't care if you came to me with $100,000 right now and bought for the next 10 years. I'm not taking your money anymore. Just go, because they have such an attitude sometimes. But that's very rare.
Yeah, the
Most of time
entitlement.
the entitlement. Most of the time they're okay. By the way, just real quick, you guys on Facebook, I don't know if anybody's left on Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, just let me know if the buzz was tolerable now. I know it's still there, but just let me know if it's tolerable. So anyway, and also if anybody wants to call in, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. I kind of hope I forwarded the calls. I think I did. I usually do.
I always think it's funny because, you know, I have a phone number here and I still don't know what it is. I have to look on the back of my phone or on the the sticker on top of the phone to know what my number is? Because
I don't know. Larry said that number enough. I don't know my fiance's phone number, but I know Larry's number now.
You might be calling the wrong guy. Hey, how do you want to go out for dinner? I'm sorry, wrong person.
But I'm kind of thinking here, like, this show went so well with Deb and Dr. Deb and Ellen and Audrey that I'm wondering if I even want to be on the show anymore. Just let Dr. Deb take it over. And actually, the one day you did the show by yourself, and it was a great show.
Yeah, I got a lot of compliments on that.
I know,
it was pretty
so,
cool. Actually.
So this is
Nice.
great. You know what you need to do when you own a business, right? You need to replace yourself. Have you replaced yourself yet?
No.
You need to replace
I'm
yourself.
dying to.
Absolutely replace yourself. So Debbie, you're doing the show for now, and I'm done.
Can I come back?
Yeah, come back. You're welcome to come back, Audrey, anytime you want. Anytime you want.
Next thing you know, you guys are going to talking about recipes.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah,
that was
that's-
sexist.
You know,
wasn't
Yeah, that
but
was very
if I
sexist,
were you,
Larry.
I'd wait a minute because you're
Yeah.
probably about to be leveled. I just don't know
I'm
who
gonna
of
ha-
us
I'm
is
gonna
going to
have
do
go
it.
I'm going to have to go to investor schooling diversity training now.
All right.
Yeah.
No, fair,
All the
fair
ladies-
housing.
All the ladies of investor schooling are going to be writing you now. I'm sure. I have no doubt. I have no doubt.
Right.
Definitely a fair housing violation.
Oh, I have so much fun with that. Fair housing violations. Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story because it wasn't a fair housing thing, but it was during COVID. Remember during COVID when you listed a house because you were a real estate agent and you listed a house and you had to put your COVID disclaimer on there?
Mm-hmm.
So my COVID disclaimer was really simple. It was, and it actually said, due to COVID, I don't really care what you do. You could show up with a mask, without a mask. I don't care. So follow your own company's policies because this is all, and I had a dirty word after that, like spelled out.
Well,
CR and then a da-da-da-da P, And it was funny because people would call me up and they were laughing so hard. They were laughing so hard. They were like, is this really a policy? I was like, that's really my policy.
Well, during COVID, Pennsylvania and Delaware are on totally opposite pages. Pennsylvania was shut down.
Yeah, totally shut down.
We were totally open the entire time.
Wow.
It was the biggest blessing ever.
Yeah,
and
it's great.
so we did have to watch what we were doing with it. And I was kind of fortunate. As soon as I saw it hit, I bought booties and masks. And I had my own policy going before the realtors came up with one. And, we followed those policies just to make sure we could keep our doors open. Because to be able to work and sell and buy homes and rent everything, nothing changed for us all during COVID.
That's great. Yeah,
It was a miracle.
I actually posted on Facebook. I posted on Facebook. I'm not listening to the governor. So if you have a client that wants to see a house, I will show it. I will take 20% of your commission because I didn't even care. I didn't even want the commission. I just figured, I got to take something, right? I'll take 20% of your commission to show the house. And I had realtors reporting me like crazy to the real estate commission, and the real estate commission called me, and it was funny. They called me, go, have you shown a house yet? I'm like, no. They go, well, you didn't violate the law yet. And I go, well, if I have an opportunity, I will. So I'll keep in touch. I mean, that's how I didn't care, So it's really, really funny. Hey, Glenn, what's going on? I see you popping in, Glenn. Hey, Glenn, I know there was a buzz earlier. We eliminated most of it. I'm just wondering if you still hear it, Glenn. Let me know. I think we lost half the audience because of the buzz on Facebook. But you guys, if you're listening, 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. You can ask us questions about tenants, rentals, whatever. We have a special guest here. We have Audrey Ellen Brodie here who will absolutely answer your question about rentals, about how to properly manage, how to properly property manage. 855-939-1137, 855-939-1137. It sounds like I got a little bit of the buzz out. Glenn says there's only a little bit of buzz now. 855-939-1137. All right. So like a half an hour ago, I asked you to tell me the greatest story you had with a tenant, and you never did.
Well, she talked about the
pole dancing.
Oh, the
Hello.
pole. Yeah, but
Pole
no,
dancing.
wait, hold on. I was going to say, you told the story about me going through the property and seeing
And
the
pole
pole
dancing.
and
And now we know he practices pole
And
dancing.
now
Right.
we know he practices pole
Yeah,
dancing.
absolutely. You could tell.
Linda must be very happy about that.
Yeah, you could tell how much I practice the pole dancing. There are times where I don't even know if I can hold the pole because my stomach's in the way.
There were some things I could go
I
my
will
whole
tell
life
you,
without.
Wait, hold on. What's that, Glenn?
She said, now we know you can pole dance. I said, there's some things I could go my whole life without. That was one of them.
I know the visual on that is painful, isn't it? I mean, it was for me right from the start.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been carrying that for about 2 months.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you
That's
guys
funny.
so much.
there is something I'd like to mention about
Yes,
leases.
Larry, you have no future in pole dancing. Sorry.
Well, if you want to, hey Glenn, you know what you can do. I know you're really hot on TikTok. If you want to, we get a pole, bring it here. I'll do a pole dancing skit, and you could put it on TikTok.
Okay.
You should
All
do
right.
it. You should do it next to the ice cream shop. Have
Yeah.
a pole outside. Hey, everybody, pole dance.
There you
Get a
go.
free ice cream.
Yeah.
You get a free ice cream for
Great
doing
promo.
Yeah.
that. Do your promo. There you go.
So there you go, Glenn. If you want me to pole dance for you, I'll be more than happy to.
Let me.
That didn't come out the same way I meant it the first time, did
Yeah,
it?
and I don't want to know about your bromance.
I don't think I've ever heard Deb laugh so hard. And she laughs pretty hard.
Could I mention something about leasing and property management, or are we really busy here?
No, hey, let's go back on topic. Sure.
We got,
Okay, fine.
We got 13 minutes. Maybe
There
we
you
should
go.
talk about something that, I think we lost half the audience already, so.
I'd like to talk about leases and giving some advice as far as how to really lock yourself in so you do a good job as a property manager or as an owner.
Sure.
Just please make sure. I mean, my original lease was like 6 pages long, and the way I define the reason it's 14 pages now is every time someone pissed me off, I had to add a paragraph.
Not bad.
So now we're
Yeah.
14 pages long, and that doesn't include the addendums. You also should, every single house and every single lease should have a mold addendum, because every single house has mold, and with everybody's sensitivity to that and all the allergies, and again, being a litigious society, mold is a big factor right now in renting your home. So make sure in your mold addendum, you're going to tell them exactly what their responsibilities are, which their responsibilities are to make sure that the home stays conditioned and that they, great example is bathrooms. They don't turn on the fan and the, 6 people shower
sure.
in there. The
Sure.
moisture builds up, the heat builds up. It's a
I wanna
perfect,
see-
it's a mold
I'll
fest.
tell you what, I want to see your mold addendum. But do you test all the homes for mold before somebody moves in?
We do not.
So in Philadelphia now, in order to rent any home, as soon as you switch tenants, you have to test for mold. You have to do a swab test. And, it's funny. It used, and I'll tell you what, I'm actually glad they changed it. I know Frank's on the line, but hold on, Frank, I'm going to get to you in a second. But they actually changed it. It used to be only if you had a child under 6, I think it was, that you had a test for mold. Now they changed it to everyone. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm glad they changed it to everyone. I'm not so happy about doing a mold test. Don't misunderstand me. But the fact that they changed it to anyone moving in, it used to be that people who moved in, like people, you rented to the person, they didn't tell you they had a 3-year-old, and you didn't do the mold test. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know how it works in Delaware. In Philadelphia, now, number one, in Philadelphia, we don't. I don't rent in Philadelphia because there's 2 places in the world to rent. One is Philadelphia, one's everywhere else, and I just choose to go everywhere else. However, in Philadelphia, if you rent to someone and you don't have them sign the mold agreement and they find mold or they didn't test for mold, even if they don't find it, you actually are going to be in trouble because you're going to have to pay all the money back for all the months they rented and their security tax and all of that too. So real quick, let's get this. Let's get Frank in Northeast Philly. What's going on, man? Hey, Frank, here you go.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, tell us what's going on, man.
Okay. I'm just curious. I've never heard this program before. I'm a tenant. I've rented for all my life. I have a couple interesting problem here. Maybe folks can tell me what's going on.
Possibly, but you got to make it quick.
I got sick.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Sure.
I got sick about a year ago, and I lost my job. So I ended up, I couldn't pay the rent. I fell 5 months behind. And somebody got Congresso. They came in and paid my rent. And I paid all the rent that was due after that. They paid 5 months rent. I paid all the rent after that. I sold everything I had because I'm still out of work. And I went into the property manager. And this property manager wasn't hired as a property manager. This is someone who's was a clerk, and they moved her up to property manager.
Okay.
And I don't think is qualified to run the job.
All right, so,
anyway,
so hold on before we get into that.
I-
Let's get to your exact
Okay,
question so we can help you.
okay, I ended up in court. She filed a landlord-tenant complaint. She filed a landlord-tenant complaint for all the months that I've already paid, and filed a willfully wrong landlord-tenant complaint, and ended up in court I had to go to senior law to get help. I've been fighting this long landlord-tenant complaint right up till this present day. I have now filed an appeal. I'm going to go to Court of Common Pleas in the next couple of months, and I just wanted you to know that in Philadelphia, when you probably already know this, sir, the municipal court is not the place you want to go if you're a tenant. 80, 90% of the time.
It's funny because most landlords would disagree with you.
Yeah. No, well, I had everything on my side of this. I should have won this hearing handily, and I lost.
So Frank,
and I ended up now I have to file an appeal.
So hold on, Frank. Hold on. So first of all, I have a lot of sympathy for your situation. I really do. But I have to tell you that as a landlord, if I'm your landlord and you're not paying the rent, I'm losing money every day. In fact, I'm spending money on housing you for free. Now, again, I don't know your exact situation. I don't want to get into it. I don't think it's appropriate. But but there are programs out there that can help you. I would recommend that you, instead of fighting your landlord, go and talk to your landlord and say, hey, how can we work this out? That would be my recommendation for you. And for any tenant who has a problem is, hey, this is my problem. How can I work it out? And some of the landlords will know the links to the programs. Also, do a Google search, and do a Google search on programs that help people with their rent. I had one, and I don't have it with me. My apologies. I usually carry it with me. I just don't have it with me at the moment. But there's a lot of companies out there that will help you. They're not-for-profit charities that will help you. So I would reach out to them, and that way you'll stay. You may be able to stay out.
I did exactly what you said. I went to the property manager, explained this to her. I actually guaranteed my rent. I sold my truck, and I said, the truck's for sale. As soon as it sells, I pay the back rent, which I did. I paid all the back rent.
Okay.
I paid all the rent up until the present day. I'm current with the rent.
So you're current.
Court, and I still lost in court.
Wait, you're current now, correct?
What did you lose in court?
I was going to ask the same question.
I'm current with the rent. But the lawyer I took with me from senior law did not put my case forward properly, and I lost in court.
Yeah, you got to talk to the lawyer. I couldn't. We certainly don't have time for me to examine that. But when you say you lost in court, they're evicting you because your rent had been late so many times. Is that the story?
Let me say this: the whole thing is based on a landlord-tenant complaint that was improperly filed.
All right, Frank.
I heard somebody talking about filing papers. She filed the landlord-tenant complaint for 4 months already paid.
Hold on, Frank. I really appreciate the story. I don't have that much time to go through the whole story. But again, I would talk to your attorney, I would talk to your family, and I would talk to, anybody who can help you. But let's move on to Carol. Hey, Carol, what is going on with you?
Oh, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
I'm in my car, and I caught your show again. And I was listening to you about 2 weeks ago, and you made a statement that you said that you believe the market was going to correct substantially. I think you said almost 10%. And lo and behold, we just came off a horrible week in the stock market.
Yep.
And I didn't get to listen to the rest of your show that day on why you thought that was going to happen, and I'm just curious. What was your indicator or rationale for the market correcting in roughly 2 weeks?
So the market's going to go down to about 30,000, probably within the next 2 weeks, and it's headed right for there. And the reason is because
it's close. Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and it's funny because now you at the time you're like, oh, come on, he's full of and now you're actually looking at it going, he's pretty smart. So this is experience speaking. And what typically happens is after earnings season, which is January, and January is one of the best earnings seasons, which is pretty much what happened. So we had a great earnings season. We came off a great earnings season, and typically we go into February. In the middle of February, the money managers start to dump their stocks looking for the next set of earnings, and that's why it happens. It happens all the time. As a matter of fact, we teach something in investor schooling called the dead zone, which I can't get into because we have no time, but it's something called the dead zone.
Okay.
I tell you what, Carol, you show up on Thursday, and I promise you that I will teach you the dead zone, how it works, and why I knew the market was gonna go down in the next 2 weeks, and it happened exactly the way I said it was. And here's the good news: the market will start coming back right around March 1st. All right? I mean, not March 1st, March 15th.
Okay.
Right around March 15th. I'm sorry, March 15th. Right, March 15th. All right, so I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in class. Go to investorschooling.com. Investorschooling.com. You can learn more about real estate. You can learn more about stock options. You can learn more about everything else. And hey, Glenn, do me a favor. Let me type in there what time I'm supposed to be out, because I have no idea. I never asked you, and I know we're really close. All right, so real quick, Audrey, why don't you tell everybody how they can reach you?
I can be reached at audrey@mydelawareagent.com, or go on our website at www.first1stclassproperties.com. My personal cell is 302-331-1043. That's 302-331-1043, and I answer it 7 days a week.
You know, I don't feel special anymore.
You are. Trust me, Larry.
I thought I only got the cell phone
You're
number.
my only pole dancing client.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
I know.
I really don't know how to respond to
I
that.
tell you, Audrey, you know what you should do? You should call up WPHT and you should ask them to do a show, because you are hysterical. You would make a great radio host.
This has been a blast.
Wait, would you say you have nightmares of me pole dancing? Is that it, Glenn? Great.
I have nightmares. TMI.
Yeah,
Big
exactly.
time.
Right.
Big time.
Look, Deb, you want to say anything? What?
You know the Sorcerer's Apprentice, where Mickey sees all the mops and pails and brooms?
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
me
yeah.
With like Larry jumping over.
Oh man, yeah. Now I know why that's my favorite Disney movie. It's terrible. All right, so
that wasn't even funny.
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't even a little bit funny.
I know. I'm trying to.
That was
figure
a
out.
dun dun dun.
Yeah, it was like I'm trying to figure out where that was funny, and that really just wasn't funny.
All right. I got the women here.
Tough audience.
I've never had so much competition for attention in my life.
Yeah.
I know.
With these two women.
We were doing just fine without you. I think next time we'll do the
Wow.
show without you. It'll be more fun.
I
right
know,
now.
exactly. Well, all right. So we're coming to a close, so I get to actually take over again and kick these women out and become, maybe self-important again. So, I want to thank you guys both for coming, Dr. Deb, and of course my new favorite property manager, Audrey Ellen Brodie, and of course I want to thank my favorite producer over at WPHT, which is Glenn Page. That's Glenn, and we missed you, Glenn. We missed you so much. And if you guys want to come to Investor Schooling, go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com. Come this Thursday. We will teach you stock options. We will teach you real estate. We will teach you how to make more money you ever made in your entire life. Investorschooling.com.